Hi everybody, welcome back to Samara Builds. I'm Samara, I'm building a better life. Now in most of my videos, I say, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Don't actually listen to me or take everything I say with a grain of salt. Well today, I'm coming back with science. That's right guys, I'm legit. Looked up some scholarly articles and here we are. I'm going to talk today about the psychology of how getting dressed affects how you learn. Let's get into it. First of all, what is learning? Learning is a change in behavior or knowledge from experience. I don't know about you guys, but when I think about learning, I think about school, I think about reading books. But with the definition, it shows that it's not just in the classroom, we're learning all the time. So how can the way we dress help us learn even more? There's an article called The Cognitive Consequences of Formal Clothing. And I read the whole thing. And basically what it's saying is that people wear formal clothes all the time, whether it's for your job, maybe even just a job interview, maybe to a funeral or other, big life events. People wear more formal clothing. And in the study, they tried to determine whether that affects abstract processing. And it shows that when you wear formal clothing, you actually do have a more abstract cognitive processing, which is super interesting. I'm going to quote the article here. It says, wearing formal clothing is thus related to psychological formality and social distance, where casual clothing is related to intimacy and familiarity. For example, people who wear formal clothes describes themselves as more competent and rational, where people who wear casual clothes describes themselves as more friendly and laid back. So from what this article is saying, if you want to come into a situation where you feel more competent and rational, perhaps formal clothing is the way to go. Another article that I looked at was called Enclothed Cognition. And in this one, it talks about the influence that clothes have on the wearer's psychological processes. The way they did this study is they gave people a white coat to wear, and in some instances they told them it was a doctor's coat, and in some instances they told them it was a painter's coat. And then they had them do some tests and watch their behavior. And it was really interesting because it showed that when people thought they were wearing a lab coat or a doctor's coat, increased attention. And attention did not increase when it was associated with a painter's coat. So this study is really interesting because it's showing that not only what you wear affects your psychological processes, but it also is what you associate it with. So once again, just how we frame things and the narrative we give ourselves is really powerful. One thing that even when I was researching this, I never thought about was how teachers' dress could affect learning in the classroom. And so an article that I read is called The Effect of Teachers' Dress on Students' Attitude and Students' Learning, Higher Education View. To be fair, this study was done in Bangladesh and then it was translated to English. And so sometimes the translation is a little bit choppy, but I did read it and I feel like I got a feel for what they were saying. And in this article, it talked about how students perceive the way their teachers dress does affect how they learn. And it's not that every teacher should go in wearing a suit, because it also depends on the subject that you're teaching. So if you're teaching yoga and you're wearing a suit, that obviously wouldn't be conducive to a good yoga learning environment. But if you're teaching a business class, then perhaps a suit is your best choice because it will impact the learning of the students, which is really interesting. It was really fun looking at these articles. Let me know if you guys want me to do another video like this where I dive into more of the science or studies behind certain things. I hope you're having a great day. As always, eat a healthy thing, drink some water, go for a walk, give yourself a hug, and I will see you next time here on Samara Builds. Bye.